Well, I got someone who's going to join us. Who's I would say he's a beast. I don't know. I mean, John, John? I mean, come on here, John. Let's ask John what he thinks. John, welcome to the show, brother. We appreciate you. We like to think John's a beast as well. John, host of the Detroit Sports Podcast, publisher of All Lions. It's Wednesdays with John Maakaron. You guys know what time it is. Come on, stop playing stupid. You come on. It's Wednesday. Check the calendar. John, come on, John. I mean, we had a busy day today. Just Lions fans in general.
Yeah.
Can we assume? And I don't want to rehash it a ton. I get it. People, we kind of been just talking about it. But can we just get your opinion on? He's going to be cut, right? If this is true, let's just say that if what's being accused of him is true, he's no longer a Lion.
Yeah, look, normally it's more festive. We drink beer, but on the stressful nights, we got to drink wine. You got to kind of take it easy. And
the doc seemed a little shallow tonight. Didn't seem high in spirits.
Yeah,
love it.
I was hoping for the cold
you got to kind of ease into it. I was in line at a Starbucks and just wanted to enjoy a Wednesday. It's typically a little bit slower, a little bit after free agency now this week ahead of owners' meetings and the draft. And I see this photo with Cam Sutton, and it's called Warrant Wednesdays. I look at it, I'm just laughing, going, what clown put this out there? And it's fake. And then as more and more people are talking about it, looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, I got to call the police. So I get on the line, and I'm obviously late to the party because they put me on hold for 20 minutes. And, it's the first time for me as a reporter in 5 years addressing a legal problem for a player. The Lions have been pretty, typically have now looked for higher upstanding citizens, and to ask these kind of questions. And basically all I asked was, is this the Lions player? And they said, yeah, they confirmed it. And to get the story out there, it's just wild to think of a player that you talked to that was someone I interviewed extensively for a podcast on Detroit Sports Podcast, was so well-spoken, would, really elaborate on a lot of things. To see a player like Cam Sutton, a Lion that was Brad Holmes invested some free agent dollars in, to see this happen. First of all, the police to kind of have a bit, call it Warrant Wednesdays. That's crazy. And second of all, to see, to potentially, when you read more into it, I know you guys have been looking at the details. Me as a therapist, if you guys don't know, the doc moniker is because I do have a license as a psychologist. After doing work with the Lions and stuff, I do have a couple clients I do help mentor and stuff like that. Back in the day, I took all different types of clients and families. The worst, most stressful, what put gray hairs on my head, took away all my hair, was the cases that involved paternity struggles. And when you have two sides that are battling and having the kids in the middle, it was an absolute nightmare. I typically don't deny clients when they call, but if it involves paternity suits or battling with the kids or divorces or things like that, I steer clear because it's so stressful. I saw what it did to people. I saw the impact, the negative impact that it would have on both sides, the way in which two parties would sling mud at each other. It was something I never want to relive. I don't take those kind of clients anymore. And if it's true, if there is a domestic situation, clearly he'll be suspended by the league and his run in Detroit will be over. To me, even though we all believe in the innocent until proven guilty, you haven't heard what happened from the side of Cam Sutton. This is something that got way out of hand and has the potential to be volatile in the future. So to me, there's not a player that's worth that. And when you look at his play and you look at the cap savings you could get if you void the contract, I look at it and say, save the cap, move on, get a better player, and let him work on his life on the side because, hopefully if he's found and everything's okay, he gets his life together, because if that's what's the case, if it's a paternity thing, he's got a battle to raise a kid and have time. The focus for football needs to be second, third in his life.
Yeah. John, I think all of us here kind of agree with you on that. We had that
Well
conversation
said, John.
earlier. Yeah, very well said. I think we're all on the same page here with that. Kind of looking past it though now, obviously, moving forward, I think we agree that there's probably going to be a cut there or he gets released. Where do you kind of see Brad going from here? Because we talked about it a little bit here, whether we feel like he now changes his draft strategy, or does he have to now go look at some vets in free agency? Obviously, you have, Carlton Davis and Meek Robertson, but does that, to us, I mean, at least to me, it doesn't seem like that's going to get the job fully done. Where do you kind of see him going now from here?
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm very curious to see how the Lions do treat this. I think they're going to wait and see, get all the information. First and foremost, we got to find out where Cam Sutton is. It's tough to lend a case that you're innocent when you're fleeing. That's the perception that's out there. And his agent has been kind of quiet, radio silent. So first and foremost, you got to find out where Cam Sutton is and figure out exactly what the details are of what's going on. But when you look at that room, even with Cam Sutton, there was going to be a question mark. People assumed that, okay, maybe he would rebound and be a solid number 2. But, when you look at the contract that he got, I'm not sure he was ever going to live up to it. He really struggled in his first year. So now do you look to guys on the roster, the young Gilmore? I don't think so. I know you guys were debating his brother, Stephon Gilmore. It might be a quick fix, but I think that the best thing to do is to kind of look in the combination of free agency and the draft and add 1 or 2, potentially more. It's an issue that probably now could have long-term ramifications. If the plan was now going into the draft that you could take best player available, now you kind of have a need at cornerback, and you probably do need a number 1. And if you don't want to do it on day 1, I know a player that's ranked maybe a second or third rounder from Iowa State, TJ Tampa, has been mocked a little bit to Detroit. Yeah, has a little bit of a skill set that could, still raw, still has some things to get better at, but I think a player Aaron Glenn would like. I think you got to keep shoring up that position. It was going to be tough with Cam Sutton, and even now, if you get the veteran Gilmore, that position is so tough. You need a lot of good luck, and it's starting off with a little bit of bad luck with the Cam Sutton news.
Yeah, John, and I just wanted to ask you, how confident are you overall with all the moves Brad Holmes has made and like a grade just basically on his off season?
Yeah, no doubt. Real fast, I don't know if you guys saw. I'll probably write it up tomorrow. Hendon Hooker changed his number, got to number 2. He's stealing CJ's number. It's online. I don't know if you guys follow the jersey.
I got the picture here. I wasn't sure if it was legit or not. I was waiting to get.
Yeah, I followed that site. That's the jersey site, baby. Hendon Hooker taking number 2, and people are talking
that's
about
a real thing.
Yeah.
There's a site
there's a jersey Twitter jersey site that they just that's all they do is look at jersey numbers.
Look, I can pull it up here. This is
I didn't know that.
TDing from Booner here. I've got the Hooker 2 there. I was going to post it. I was waiting to post it to get the confirmation. I got the confirmation, so I can post it now. Here we go.
Show it one more time, Boone. I couldn't really see it. Back it up for the people a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah, it looks
like
clean.
It's clean.
I like 2, man.
Trying to get it out of the light there. That light.
I mean, I haven't confirmed it, but I think that site, I follow that site. That's where I usually write stories from. They've never been really wrong. And that's what they do. They focus on jersey numbers. So when you look at Brad Holmes and what he's done, I think he's done a B+ job. To me, I think that, when you look at it in totality, the needs were met. You got guys that fill holes, and you got guys that I think have the makeup of everything that they want. Prove it deals, nothing that's going to be detrimental to the cap, and everything that you see that you would want in a player, guys that, clearly Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell like. So I don't think there's a lot to complain about. I was talking with a lot of people, and I would have did it a little differently, been more aggressive, kind of pushed it a little bit more all in for 2024. I don't care about sustainability. I'm in win now mode, but for knowing what Brad Holmes is doing and his plan and following it, it's a safe, acceptable free agency period. And I think that fans can be definitely encouraged by what the Lions did on the defensive line and adding a couple pieces in the secondary. I'm curious about how the Zeitler move is going to affect the offensive line when you shuffle the pieces around. But I think Brad Holmes has earned the benefit of the doubt from the fan base, and he should be heralded for the moves that he makes. But, the draft is the place where he's going to definitely need probably to step it up again if the Lions are going to be sustainable for the next couple of years. I do believe, why not have confidence he's going to hit in the draft again? If you get 3-4 more players that are impactful with the mix that you got, man, he could actually achieve the goal of sustainability, which is really, really tough to do in the NFL.
Yep.
John, the doc. Always love having you on. Kind of moving outside of Detroit, but staying within the draft. Minnesota, they traded back into the first round. I believe it was with Houston. With that pick, do you think they're using that solely to have assets to move up for JJ? Or do you possibly think, because you look in that kind of 20 to 25 range, there's a lot of corners, there's a lot of defensive end, a lot of players that the Detroit Lions could use to trade up for. What do you think they're doing trading up for that 20th pick or 20th pick in the 20s?
Yeah, no, I think that's what you're hearing all across the league is people think that JJ's the guy or the quarterback, that's somebody that Kevin O'Connell needs. You look at it and you say Minnesota and what they've done, they put the league on notice a little bit in terms of what they did pre-draft. And it's interesting too, because are they rebuilding? How are they looking at it? They're losing Kirk Cousins and the moves that they made in free agency. But when you see, it gives them an opportunity. And that's what you need is you need ammo in case a player that you fall in love with. And most likely, most pundits believe it is for a quarterback. And if it's not JJ, to be one of the others. If you have the opportunity to have enough to move and do what you need, that's all you can ask for from a GM. And that's what these GMs like to do, is to have opportunities that if you have a player that you need and you can make the deal, then you go do it. And, I know people are wondering about the NFC North, and I'm not as concerned about the Vikings or Bears. I'm still definitely thinking that the Packers are the team that are the biggest threat to the Lions. And when you look at it in totality, the Vikings kind of have the inkling of a team that's kind of looking to add a young quarterback with O'Connell. And sometimes when you start a young quarterback, that just means you're going to take a step back for them to acclimate. But man, they have options, and it's something interesting to watch on draft night, especially if they stay there. And what happens if they stay and take one of the players that maybe the Lions like, maybe the offensive lineman, maybe a cornerback, maybe, we'll see about what the future of Justin Jefferson is. Maybe you draft his replacement if he's on the move. So we'll see what Minnesota does. They have options, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, John, you wrote an article today at All Lions, and people can go check that out. It just kind of speaking about Brad being at the pro day, Alabama's pro day. We talked about it. We talked about Kool-Aid McKinstry a little bit a couple of weeks ago, and I know he was injured, so we didn't get to see him at the combine. I just can't help but think, John, that Brad and his history of Alabama players, I mean, how do you not? I mean, they have tons of talent. I get that. But I'm getting this vibe watching Kool-Aid McKinstry interviews and just the way he approaches the game, his love for the game. Like, he's going to be a guy to me, John, that I can see if the Lions stay put at 29 and he's there. If you want to go with Brad taking the best player available, which is what he does, John, you could make an argument Kool-Aid McKinstry could be the best player available at 29. And I think he'd be a realistic option. What's your thoughts on a guy like that?
Yeah, it's tough to think that he's going to be there. Everybody thinks that you got to trade up for him. Hell, we don't know. Maybe Brad was looking at the kicker. The photo is of the kicker, and more people. When I asked the question online, hey, you liking Kool-Aid? They're like, hey, get the kicker. And I'm like, okay, Kool-Aid's interesting, man. He's unique, and obviously not working out at the combine because of the foot situation. He's going to have surgery, I believe, and it's going to take him out for a month, I think. But you look at it and you say, okay, it's a good player. I think that he would fit. But like I said, the cornerback spot is so tough to develop. There's no true, when you look at outside of Quinyon Mitchell, the guy that just purely is going to lock down somebody. You can throw him out there day one. But man, when you look at the film of Kool-Aid, you just see a player that works hard. It's a good system that he comes from, competitive. And I think that when you see the 4.4 speed, that definitely wowed a lot of people. If he's there at 29, I believe that Brad Holmes, at least today, would have got an up-close look at what he thinks about a talented player. And Brad doesn't go to a lot. He does not go to a lot of these pro days. He sends the scouts, trust what he sees on film. But for him to go there, that means a player definitely he wanted to see. And I'm pretty sure Kool-Aid McKinstry is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's name is Kool-Aid, John. I mean, it's literally it's like Booner drinking Kool-Aid next to Kool-Aid McKinstry. I mean, we could cook here. You know what I mean?
I'm going to say I'm going to be very disappointed if I don't get an email or reached out to by the Detroit Lions if Kool-Aid McKinstry is a pick. I genuinely I would question whoever's running the social or those teams over there. So
yeah,
I think it's a perfect pick.
Yeah, I agree, John. Well, real quick, got a couple minutes, John? It's on
I have one more question, actually.
Right.
And I want to throw this out there because we really haven't talked about. We talked about the defense. Tough question. I'm throwing some tough ones out here for you, John. Edge rusher, defensive edge, the end there. There's, at least to me, it feels like they addressed it. Obviously, that felt like more of a depth piece. that other guy on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson, and I know the James Houston situation, do you see them, obviously in the draft, maybe you can address that, or do you see them going after a free agent like Jadeveon Clowney, or how do you think they approach that? Because it does feel like that's kind of that last missing like piece there on that Detroit Lions defense. If we're talking about like an infinity stone, it's like that last piece that makes this defense complete is just pairing Aiden Hutchinson up with a dude. And I think the whole Lions fan base is waiting for that.
No doubt about it. Here's what's crazy. I heard the show yesterday and looking at Marcus Davenport and the fact that he is got a lot to prove still. James Houston obviously coming off of the injury, but in the draft, I don't think you go for a Jadeveon Clowney. That dude has been milking his career on those 1-year deals for the last couple of years. That dude's been lucky. That dude's been milking $10 million, $15 million deals and still bouncing around the league. But I don't think the Lions are going to look anymore to free agency for the edge spot. I like what I see in the draft. I wrote a piece on Jonah Ellis. I like what he brings to the table. You guys talked about Marshawn Nealon. I think that there's an opportunity in the draft to look at a lot of good players, and maybe you take a chance on a Darius Robinson, Chop Robinson, and see what's out there.
Oh, don't do that now, Doc.
I know Chop. You don't like him, but at the same token, maybe Chris Breswell. You know, you make a move and you see what you got to do there. You know, but the edge position, I think, is one in which you see that you definitely want to have that shirt up. And James Houston, you know, it's a real interesting look at where he's at. You know, a guy that in his mind believes should be an every down player, but the team still thinks he's raw. And that second year, man, he would have benefited a lot from being out there, but that injury was just killer. And for him, I just think that you can't teach that skill of just being able to sack the quarterback, but he's got to be able to do a lot more in terms of setting the edges in coverage. And so much is so intricate that the position is wild. I say you go for a surefire guy that you think can be a guy that's opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. And boy, if you hit and you build up that pass rush and sack the quarterback at the highest level, man, that would have did wonders for the Lions against the 49ers, against a quarterback that was starting to feel himself a little bit in Brock Purdy. So, man, sure up that position. I'm hoping that you never know. I think Jonah Ellis, when you look at his profile, he's a Dan Campbell guy. He's a hard worker. Yeah. I think he's got what it takes. If you want to look at a day 2 guy and history with the Lions, that's always something that plays into the factor. But, man, if you want a guy to fall, man, Darius Robinson, that would be amazing.
Let's go. That's who I want.
Darius Robinson. I'm hoping that there's an opportunity for some luck for the Lions to at least get a cornerback or an edge rusher in the first round.
Yeah, can we just avoid James Houston on special teams? I mean, we'll start there. But you guys are good.
Unbelievable.
More Houston on special teams, please, for the love of God.
But John, I wanted to ask you: do you think with all the offseason additions and obviously AG has kind of had some struggles with the defense over the years, do you think he can finally take the next step in making this team into a top 10 defense going into next year?
Yeah, no doubt. I see in the chat real fast, someone said, would I trade up or trade down? I'm all about aggression. And so for me, if there's the guy that you think you get, you trade up. You sacrifice. Look, you're seeing deals made that involve 2026 picks. I think that there's opportunities to, sacrifice a little bit because you can maneuver around in the draft and get those picks back. So if there's a guy that you love and you think he's the guy in the first round, you trade up. Trading back, I think in Detroit would be a downer with all the people waiting. AG, I think, has to, if he's got the moxie that I think that he does and that he hears all the people complain about him, yeah, his scheme sometimes lacks adjustments and things like that, but he did make the steady progression in my mind in year 3. You saw improved pass rush. You saw blitz. You saw Ifeatu Melifonwu emerge. You saw the team be able to take the talent of the players on the roster and fit what they were able to do well. So now if you give them talent, if you give them a couple more pieces, a cornerback that's not so handsy, not getting penalties all the time, you blew out Jerry Jacobs. You're moving on from guys that you don't think can produce. You upgraded from Benito Jones. You bring in a DJ Reader and a Marcus Davenport. You have better talent. You have guys that probably suit the defense better. I do think that probably top 10 without the draft. I don't think they'll get there, even if they add a piece like a Darius Robinson. But I think that they're going to make a progress from 19th at least into the top 15 and be more aggressive and be able to consistently. I mean, we saw the what killed the Lions, and they don't care about giving up the yards and all that. They did shore up the ability to not give up touchdowns. What started to hurt them was the chunk plays, the explosives, when the secondary struggled. So if you can shore up the secondary, not give up the chunk explosive plays, I think that defense, had the capabilities that you saw of tightening up when needed. It's a bend, don't break. They did it effectively well, and they pressured the quarterback with the blitz. So I think that and again, you guys know ball, if you can get pressure with just a front four, that makes everything in the back end so much easier. And I do think that Aaron Glenn, probably is taking offense that he's not been named a head coach yet, that he's always looked at as the secondary guy behind Ben Johnson. The guy's competitive. The guy is a gamer. He's competitive, and I think he'll get his defense where he needs to go.
Doc, you kind of brought him up earlier, but Kevin Zeitler, when you look at now that he signed for, I think, just a little bit above $6 million, take the contract out of it. Do you think he's an upgrade as a player over Jonah Jackson heading into 2024 for the Lions?
Man, that's hard to say upgrade. I think it's a professional move when you look at adding a veteran of his capabilities. I think he's solid all the way around. He's a gamer. I think best way to put it, he's a good stopgap, a perfect opportunity while you develop, because clearly you don't think that Sorsdal and Awosika are ready to handle the load. You don't bring in a veteran who's 34 years old into that room unless you think they still need a little bit more time to develop. I think it's hard to say upgrade. I just think it's a professional move. Somebody that you can count on to run block, is experienced, earn the respect of Aleem McNeil. So I think that's a great move. And it allows you some flexibility. I mean, I think Graham Glasgow moving over to the left side is fine. I think that's going to be, look, that offensive line, if they stay healthy, I think they're going to produce at a high level. That's going to be the least of your worries, is the offensive line. The biggest concern is Frank Ragnow and his injury. What a gamer, trying to survive all that. But I think the draft as well, you start to see probably a little bit of some attention given to the draft, because you need some more depth pieces. But the starting five, pretty good, man. It's going to be good. And then you got Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh, my goodness, man. The offense, I can't wait to see what they add to it in the draft, because it's already lethal now. You add more to it, my goodness, man. The offensive line is going to be special. And when you look at it, more people need to talk about the work that Hank Fraley does. The man is a grinder, and the man has put together an offensive line for a couple years that has lived up to the billing. It just it's unfortunate, $17 million for Jonah Jackson. That's wild. Rams, screw you. $17 million for Jonah Jackson? Are you kidding me? God, he got paid, but he had some holes in his game too.
Yeah, I mean, guards are just getting paid, man.
A lot of money.
Guards, hey, you got Landon Dickerson in Philly making quarterback money from like 10 years ago, John. He's making 20+ million. So, hey, all the guard fans, hey, stand up. You guys are getting paid. John, I want to.
My son's playing guard when he gets older. Well, I don't have a son, so I don't know why. I don't know why I said that. I didn't have a kid.
There's hope. John, I want to ask you, because you kind of alluded to it, and then we'll get to a couple member questions. First, you mentioned the offense. What's the ceiling of this offense, John? Because this has been a top 5 unit with Ben Johnson and the rest of the crew here since he took over as OC. You think they'll remain around that spot, or you think there's maybe another floor they haven't gotten to yet? Do you think this can be a number 1 offense in the NFL? I'll just ask you. And if not, what do they need to maybe get there?
Yeah, absolutely. That toast to the Lions offense. They make you happy.
Shout out.
What was crazy about that offense in 23 was their struggles coming out of halftime. I mean, that third quarter struggle was so crazy to think about, with all that talent, all those weapons, that they just struggled coming out of the half and made some games where they should have won much more easy. It was wild to think about. But guys, just think about this. Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta are going to be in their second year, and they're already elite as they are. They're going to light it up. And you got Jared Goff building connections with them further, and you're going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who definitely probably, when you know his MO, is probably burning to get back out on the field after a stinging, choking loss that you had against the 49ers. You look at it, and everything is in place. You got the running game that you want. You got tight ends that you can trust. You got the continuity with the quarterback and Jared Goff. The offensive line is, I think, a unit that will quickly gel if they stay healthy. Can they be the number 1 offense in the league? Absolutely. Why? You guys haven't talked about it a lot, but Jamison Williams,
Woo!
I think if he's competitive, he gives you that explosive target that can be somebody that can open up the offense that much more. Pick your poison. You want to take away St. Brown? Okay, J-Mo will take advantage of, lax coverage. You want to take away the receivers? Fine. Sam Laporta will get 7 receptions and some big yards. Fine. You want to take away the pass game? Jahmyr Gibbs will slice you up. So it's pick your poison. And when you have an offense that with Ben Johnson, and pay attention to what he said, the first year, second year of an offense, they called it 101, 201. You imagine this offense, 401 level, where there's advanced concepts, and credit to Ben Johnson, who's just a wizard. He knows how to use tendencies in such a way that it's magical. It's wizardry. And the blessing that he came back, I don't know if the guy's allergic to money, but he keeps turning down the bag to work with Dan Campbell. I'm like, man, Ben, they're offering you tens of millions of dollars. Take the cash. But you know what? Credit to him. He's loyal. He wants to play with, he wants to coach Jared Goff and learn more from Dan Campbell. There's a little bit of humbleness you got to take where a guy that can have an opportunity 2-3 places stays and says, you know what? I can learn more from Dan Campbell. I can learn more from the assistants. And he's only 37, 38 years old. When he gets guys, when he lands an opportunity, look out, because I think he'll be one of those guys that lands on his feet with any new opportunity, and he'll be one of those coaches I think will win a Super Bowl ring as a coach. He's got to work on a couple things personality-wise, but I think that in the end, when he gets there, my God, that Lions offense is going to be lethal. That is worth the ticket price raise that Sheila put on all you people. Damn, that offense is fun.
Yeah.